Probably the last thing I drew, actually.
Oh, wow. Can I? Let's see here. This thing is pretty funky, but. Well, what inspires you?
um, right now, it's just life, just trying to get through every day one at a time. Hopefully, get some sort of housing. Well, I'm on disability, so hopefully I get something in the next couple of months. I'm on a mod rehab list, and it might not be until May, but there are some other places that I might be able to rent for like my entire check.
How does your art come into your day-to-day survival?
So sometimes, I mean, I can draw something up for somebody if I need a little bit extra cash, but it's like I don't even get to sit there and focus on anything that inspires me lately because it's just, trying to survive day to day. It's like there's not even really any time for that right now.
Was there a time in your life when you could sit down and put all your energy into that?
Yep,
And what was that like?
that was nice. I mean, it was, gosh, it feels so long ago. It was probably about 8 years ago that I was actually able to set time aside to just like be inspired by because I'm from a town that's actually kind of ugly. I'm from Long Beach, California. And when I moved up here, it's like it's so pretty every day. I mean, there's just I don't know. There's just so much wildlife and everything to see that it's easy to get inspired out here. And then when I became homeless, it was actually harder. With the depression and everything setting in, it was just harder to get inspired and to even just put a pen to a piece of paper and draw or write or anything like that.
Where did the homelessness start?
About seven. Well, I've been homeless on and off about 6 years, I guess. So it's like I finally get a place, and then I'm like it's like that's really cool for about 3 4 months, and then something happens, rent goes up, or this that or the other, and I wind up back on the street. In Astoria, well, see now it's like even if I found a place to live, my disability won't cover it. It's like most places are $800 a month, and it's like my disability is only $770.
What are you gonna do?
I'm just gonna keep on waiting for a mod rehab or a NOAA where the government will supplement some of my rent because there's just. I mean, even if I did have a job, I mean, it's still almost too much. It's like $1,000 for like one bedroom right now. It's like that's why I left LA because it was just too much. It was too much down there, and in the past 10 years, it's now the same price that I was paying down there, and it's like, and when I'm on disability, I can't work, and then if I start working and then lose my job, then I lose my disability. So I'm kind of screwed either way. Yeah, I used to do tattoo work, but I need to get a license for it. I'm not licensed, and I've only done tattoo work on a few people. I did this one myself, and I'm not left-handed, so
Awesome work.
yeah.
As it's affecting you.
Well, I mean, as concerned as how it affects everybody, there's not really any resources out here, and the ones that are out here, it's just like, I mean, you have to follow, I mean, their rules to the T, or they just kick you out. I mean, that's the precariousness of it all. It's like, okay, well, it's like I finally got into shelter, I'm finally getting this, and I'm finally getting that done, but I mean, it's just like there's so many people trying to get in. If you step outside their little line this much, you know what I mean? It's like you have to start all over again. hmm And it's like they're meant to give you a hand up, but it seems like a lot of times they're just giving you a hand down.
So you're an expert on this. So what's the problem? Why is this happening?
Um, there's just not enough. There's not just not enough opportunity for anybody to get a step up and out of it. You know what I mean? It's like just getting on the other side of that fence to where you can have a place where you can find a job and all the other stuff. That's the hardest part. I mean, when you're out here on the street, it's like nobody wants to hire you. I mean, nobody. I mean, like I can all day. I don't sit there. I don't panhandle. It's like if I need money, I'll go out and find cans or, do what I can to make a couple bucks on the legal side, or not, and not asking for change or not. You know what I mean? Just because, I don't know. It's not that panhandling is beneath me. It's just that I don't want to bother the people that have something because they probably had to work really hard to get that too. Well, that, and I just don't. I don't want them to see me as needing that. You know.
Well, how do you feel about not being able to use your real skills to get by?
I think it's messed up because I mean, if this was like 700 years ago, people would have seen me as an artist. I would have been trained as an artist, and that's what I'd be doing with my life. That's something that I love. But in this day and age, it's just kind of like people, artists, free thinkers, all that other stuff. I mean, some of the smartest people in the world I know. I mean, work work at Starbucks or McDonald's, and it's like the C plus students are running the world.
I think you got it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I don't like that either.
Mm-mm. But that's how it happens through nepotism and this, that, and the other. I mean, like, yeah, the C plus students run the world, and the smartest people are usually working in coffee shops or homeless.
Because you're an artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the dilemma of the artist.
Mm-hmm. It was funny. I was watching this show called Adam Ruins Everything, and they were talking about the art world and how corrupt it is now. I mean, even for people that are marginally talented to get their stuff in a gallery. I was actually watching this segment where they're talking about Daniel Radcliffe like this painting, but he wasn't important enough to buy it. Daniel Radcliffe is right. Anyway, he wasn't important enough to buy this painting.
Somebody everybody knows.
Yeah, the artist wouldn't sell it to him because he wasn't important enough to own it. And I'm like, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, who supported you as an artist?
Probably my grandfather, my mom a little bit, mostly my friends. It wasn't. And anytime my family needed something drawn or done, I mean, they'd ask me, but I don't know. It's like I didn't really get a whole lot of support as an artist. Just like, oh, Bridget, you're talented. So I mean, most of my friends, but
they don't understand.
And my mom, she was an artist too, when she was younger, and she kind of had 5 kids and kind of gave up her ability. So sometimes I always feel, since I never had kids, that she was a little bit jealous.
So if you could get all that off your plate, get a leg up, get back on your feet, what would your life be like?
Well, I'd be an artist full time, or something like that. I mean, that would be awesome, because I mean, when I was in LA, I'm sorry, I can't call me later. When I lived in LA, it's like I was an artist almost full time, and I mean, that's pretty much what I spent most of my time doing, was graphic design. And I mean, it was a lot of fun, but, well, I mean, not really. I mean, my favorite thing to do is I used to just draw something on paper and then run it through a couple of art programs and color it in that way. Actually, I worked for a lot of I worked for Dan Jack's and Santa Cruz Surf and Sport when I lived in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. When I was, I think it was 22, 23. I'm 38 now.
It's 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I worked for skate companies doing, I just did skulls and stuff for skateboards, a lot of the crap. Well, it was a long fall, actually, because I haven't gotten anywhere near back to where I was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's like, just like out of high school, I was designing for this guy, Jimmy Koo, that had a skateboard company called Dragonback. Like, nobody's ever heard of it. It kind of went away in 3 years, but it's like that's how I got the job with Dan Jackson. Then the job with Santa Cruz Surf and Sport was through all that. And then when Santa Cruz Surf and Sport became corporate, actually, what's funny about that is, like, if anybody knows their logo, their old font, that's actually called Santa Cruz font. That was a font that it's called a typeface. That was a typeface that me and somebody named Jimmy Koo actually came up with. And they went corporate. They didn't want to pay us royalties, and so they changed their font, their typeface. And then they went back to their old typeface, like in the last 2 years. But since our royalty time ran out, that 10-year time span ran out, they don't have to pay us crap for something they stole from us. Right. So, I mean, it's like, it's that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, that's funny. I recognize my artwork and stuff that I can't even get my royalties for.
You see it, and that's you.
Mm-hmm. That is kind of the art world. I mean, it is corrupt, and it is kind of scandalous and everything. And I never thought Kenny, that's the guy that ran that kind of art division for Santa Cruz. That was his name back then. But yeah, it's all corporate now. It's like Santa Cruz is now owned by a couple of corporations, and it's kind of messed up. But, well, I mean, I've got to say something about being homeless is that I'm not usually bored. And having a place to live, sometimes you get bored and you get complacent, and especially with using your mind to solve problems and everything, because everything's all laid out for you. So, I mean, it's not an easy way to live, but it's a somewhat interesting way to live. And if I had a magic wand to change everything, it's like having a steady place to live so I can focus on my health would probably be the number one thing. I mean, the past 10 years, it's like I don't even use drugs. All my teeth are falling out. I've had heart surgery, all this stuff, and it's just like I'm falling apart, and I'm not even 40 yet. So, I mean, that'd be the biggest thing. It'd be to focus on my health and then focus on my artwork. And it's like, yeah, right now, just to be able to catch up and not have Especially people in AA, they're like one day at a time. I'm like, you know how daunting one day at a time is, not being able to plan anything out. You know what I mean? And I think that's when you really screw up in your life. It's like when you can't plan for the next day, or when your days start running together and it turns into Groundhog Day. It's like I wake up, I look for cans, I find somewhere to sleep. It's like the same thing over and over and over again. But I guess it's the same thing when you have a place to live too. It's like I wake up, I go to work, I go home, I go to sleep. I wake up, I go to work, I go home, I go to sleep. And it's kind of the same thing when you're homeless too. It's just more at stake.